With me as as I'm sure I'll explain several times, I've actually replaced my CPU and motherboard this week, so a lot of things are slightly broken. Um, but yeah. How's things? How's life? How's the universe? How's your week been? Um, Hello Ish, how you doing? Hello Joe, and hello John. How are you guys all doing? How's things? Um, Yeah, is everything coming through? You hear some music in the background. You should hear, my dulcet tones. How's everybody doing? Um, Hello Simon, how you doing, man? How's things? Um, Hello Simon S63 Tech. How are you doing? How's things? Uh, yeah, I've swapped out my CPU. In fact, my old motherboard is currently sitting on that desk at the moment. So I've currently swapped off of Ryzen, uh, mostly because um, I've been on Ryzen for so long that I have basically broken all of my Ryzen chips and boards. um, and so I don't have anything else to swap to, so I'm currently on an 11900K, which admittedly is still a pretty decent chip. I'm still getting pretty decent performance from it, so nothing too major of a problem there. But yeah, I'm currently on a 11900K, same RAM, same stuff, RTX 3070 Ti at the moment. But yeah, and my system now doesn't crash, which is the main thing. I should probably have clarified, but uh, I was having blue screens, like, no matter what I was doing, it would blue screen. And as far as I'm aware, the reason for that is I don't have it to in reaching distance, but I had a network card. It was the Asus XG C100C, I think, or something. Or XC 100C, something like that. Anyway, 10 gig NIC uses the Aquantia AQ107 controller. Um, those are horrible. They're the cheapest and most widely available, but they are terrible. And as far as I can tell, it was destroying my CPU and motherboard. Um, because I didn't know that's what was failing, I spent a long time basically just burning through hardware. And so, long story short, I've in the configuration that I need it to work as, I've kind of burned through all of my AMD boards and my two 5900Xs. So yeah, I don't have many 7th gen Ryzen chips or boards to use instead, so I'm using 11th gen Intel. I would have used 12th probably, like the 12900K, but one, I'm not using Windows 11, so while that's still fine, it's not ideal. And two, the CPU cooler that I have in there at the moment, I currently don't have a spare set of mounting hardware for 12th gen, so 11th gen was my next option. I stick with Intel, more stable and reliable. Fair play. I'm yet to have any issues, but I've also yet to have a network card that destroys my system. So, I'll be interested to see if there's much difference in Adobe stability. Like, there shouldn't be, but there might be. So we'll see. Doing great. Heat banked off a bit. So much easier to think and get stuff done. I agree. Although it's apparently going to be 28 degrees tomorrow, so um, cooler weather has definitely been a much needed break for sure. I agree. Still rocking second-hand A700K and a 2070 and the old monitors. On an unrelated note, just ordered third helmet. Nice. what helmet did you go with, and probably more importantly, what's it made of? Is it some aramid, carbon or Kevlar, or is it polycarbonate? Working outside all weekend is going to be fun. I'm sorry, mate. I'm really sorry. I take frequent water breaks. Hello, Zig. How you doing, man? How's things? Also, hello, Jim. How you doing? How's things? Geez, what would you do down under? It gets to 40 here. Yeah, but what's the humidity like at that? Because here it's like 50 to 60% humidity a lot of the time at that temperature, which means that your sweat doesn't work. And also all of our houses are made of brick. We don't have air conditioning except for terrible standalone units. Yeah. I've upgraded from a 2700 16 gigs of DDR2 GT555M to a Ryzen 2600 32 gig and a 1070 Ti. Not amazing, but major upgrade. I can actually render video now. Nice! Can be anything from 50 to 90% humidity. Okay then, Jesus. There is some level of you get used to it. There is some level of the world around you is built differently. Like I said, the houses that we have here are double insulated brick that trap heat and and moisture considerably. So yeah. Ish, I know you deleted it, but it's kind of funny. No, it won't come with the Logitech controller. Although, actually, helmets are a thing where aramid fibers, carbon fiber or Kevlar or whatever, do actually have a significant benefit because they will disperse the load. So instead of just fracturing at a single point and maybe like splitting, which is really bad, they'll the whole load will be dispersed across the entire weave, which is a lot better for hard impacts. They're also a lot better for punctures. So if you do fall off, but then you fall onto something somewhat sharp, it's going to be a lot better protection so that it doesn't just puncture. Whereas with something like polycarbonate plastic, it will just puncture straight through, and the EPS foam that's under there won't do anything either. I have Aramid, Permant Kevlar, Lumberjack t-shirt. Nice. All three Scorpion helmets, R1 Air, Workhorse, 1400 Air for the longer distance and night, Cover X, T-Rust graphics for short city rides. All fiberglass / composite. ABS is too heavy for my neck. Carbon's not much better than composite, just expensive. Yes, I knew that there was another class of helmet that I was forgetting that wasn't as expensive as aramid, Kevlar, or carbon fiber, but wasn't polycarb. But I forgot about fiberglass. But yeah, nice. If I ever do convince myself to buy another bike at some point, I will be buying at very least fiberglass shell. UK isn't built for any kind of weather. True. Also, yeah, as Joe says, Brits are designed, or we are built to moan about the weather. It's the one thing we can do. We're socially repressed in every possible manner, except for complaining about the weather. Infinite Stars, hello. How's the work going? Good. Where is it? Where did I move it to? Oh, it's over here because it's still plugged in. You're in good luck because it's still plugged in. Yes, my USB cable is royally screwed. but it's fine. Yeah, I've actually done quite a lot of work. In fact, here's just the last day or two worth of notes, things to fix, things to test, things that I have fixed, things that I haven't scrubbed out yet, actually. Also, I have a bad habit of wanting to fix every problem that I have myself. I've said in a few videos that my ZigBee smart switches, the like scene changer ones, they suck. They drain the I don't have any on my desk, do I? They drain this sort of cell. These are, it's not this exact one. This is a 2450. They use 2530s or something. But so they drain these cells, ones that you can't just buy in the supermarket, every 1 to 3 months, depending. Which is really, really annoying. And also, a lot of the time they don't work. Like, you press them and then nothing happens, and you have to press them again. So it's as if you've got to wake them up and then press them. But sometimes they do work first try. Anyway, it's really annoying. It turns out that because ZigBee is an open standard, you can just buy a little ZigBee module, design a PCB, design a casing for it, and make one. And I kind of want to. Oh, but I really should focus on one thing at a time. Is that a microphone? Yes, it is. So Linus drop tips. The idea is that you'll have the microphone for either audio latency or like click latency. So you'll have the mic nearby and you click, and you know it will register that click. So I had a fantastic comment reminding me that the way that LDAT, where is it? The way that, no, it's stuck in my guitar capo. The way that LDAT works is you have your mic in it, and then you listen. It listens for the actual click sound, and then it will just register that click event on in the like LDAT window, so you don't actually need to worry about your monitor's refresh rate and that sort of stuff. So that's what I'm doing with the latency tool. But the nice thing is that I'm also supporting keyboards with that. So there's a box for clicking and there's a box for typing. And if you type in the box and it hears you pressing a key, you can see the keyboard latency as well. So yeah. Essentially says Energizer actually released phones. Did I see something else about Energizer on the normal chat? Maybe not. I remember seeing that actually, if I remember rightly. With a massive battery, I can only assume. Yeah, the Skippy reference is skipping straight over my head. I imagine a mic in the tool is pretty hard to get right, but I guess sort of things much more handier. Yes, it was a massive pain, and it's why that's version 5 of the PCB. Trying to get the microphone circuitry right. In fact, I have some of the old PCBs. So I've taken all the stuff off this one already. But all of this stuff over here, so anything on this side of the board, save for those two pads, that little one and this, basically everything you see on that side is for the microphone. Now I've removed a couple of these bits. One of these was a voltage regulator to power this, but I ended up just using some resistors. But yeah, it was quite a pain to deal with. But I have tuned it as best as I can so that it is as close to reliable as I'm going to get, basically. There's still going to be stuff like if you accidentally like, you know, hold or rub the mic, that's going to transmit into the microphone pretty loudly, and that's going to give you some, you know, false readings. But one of the things I want to do is still have outlier rejection on the results. So if you get one result that says it took, you know, 20 seconds or something because it thought it heard a click and then nothing happened, it'll just throw that one out before doing any averaging, doing, you know, any graphing or anything. It'll all still be saved if you're interested, but yeah. NVIDIA will be scared when you release it. Well, not really. I mean, NVIDIA could just release LDAT and that's fine. The main thing... So, like, first of all, NVIDIA bought a response time tool, which is quite funny because I had to send it to one of NVIDIA's offices over in the States. But, yeah, I doubt that I'm going to be cutting into their profit margins too heavily. But I hope that it gets you know, people have some use out of it. The number of requests that I've had to make one over the 2 or so years that I've been making response time tools, I think people are going to be interested in it. I think I'm planning on doing... in fact, actually, better question. Would you rather buy a tool sooner and have, you know, some of the basic stuff, like the most of the tests should work just fine, but things like the results view won't be perfect, there might be a few bugs here and there. Like, I don't expect any changes to the hardware. I've done a lot of testing to verify that the 2 sensors, 1 input and 1 button, all work fine. But, you know, would you rather buy one sooner and with a little bit of a sort of early bird discount, but have it potentially be a little bit buggy, a little bit feature lacking, or would you rather wait a little bit and you know, wait till it's properly sorted? Which would you rather of those two? What's been going on here? Just bought a Lenovo Yoga Slim Pro X with a AMD 6800 HS and an NVIDIA 3050. It doesn't auto switch when I launch a game, but auto switch is enabled. Got any ideas? Well, I think I would check in the NVIDIA driver to see what setting it's on. But I can't say that I've had that happen very often. It's always been relatively reliable, even with AMD CPUs and NVIDIA GPUs. It's set to auto-select. Are the options auto-select Optimus and NVIDIA GPU only on your one? Because they were on the ones that I have. But then the text said Optimus was iGPU only, like the little help text at the bottom. I'm a person, I like to buy things sooner and wait for the updates as long as the basics are okay. Cool, I will keep that in mind. I think you're already on the notification, like the email list, so once I have you know, a tool working, I've built a few of them and they're all to the point where I'm confident that, you know, the hardware isn't going to change. I'm pretty confident at that point already, but and that the software, at least the basic functionality, is there. Once I'm at that point, I'll start sending emails saying they're available, or, you know, I'm going to make a small batch available to start with, and then, you know, see how we go. Obviously, continue development and all that, but yeah, hopefully not too soon, not too long. I need to put in my order for some boards and parts. So Andy, I feel like you have plenty to say on the Threads app based on your comments on Discord. Oh, go join the Discord if you haven't. Blew my mind with all those permissions. Yes, yeah. So if you haven't seen, Meta, Facebook, has launched a new social networking app called like Threads or Instagram Threads. Basically, it's Facebook's Twitter clone. And it's bad for a number of reasons. I'll start on the technical level. The technical level, none of the functionality apparently works. There's no web UI. Like, you can't go to whatever the website, like a website, and use it like you can with Twitter or Facebook or Mastodon or any of the other social networking sites. You have to use it through the app. The app isn't available in Europe because privacy laws, and that should be a pretty big red flag. If something is not, like, if a service is not available in the EU because of EU privacy laws, that should tell you that it's something that you shouldn't be using. But yeah, so from a technical level, it seems like it was really rushed into, production. It apparently has a load of bugs. A load of the features that they said were going to be there aren't. Yeah, that. From what's the word I'm looking for? On a you shouldn't be using this for any reason anyway version, Facebook as a company is tied to a genocide in Myanmar, Cambridge Analytica, and spending the last over a decade selling every inch of your personal data that they can get to everyone and anyone. Also, their own internal reports have shown that they know the damage that their algorithm, distributing content is doing to us as a society, and every single time they make one of their own reports internally, they choose to take more money than to fix the problems that they're creating. So the idea that some new app from them is going to be any different than shoving ads down your throat and stealing all your data, this shouldn't be a novel idea. And then what should be the final nail in the coffin here is if you look at what data the app wants to collect from you. Where is it? I sent it on Discord. Just from an Android phone, bear in mind, it wants to know your phone's unique identifier, the operating system version, the device brand, the charging status, the device's total memory, your first name, your GPS coordinates, your screen density, like how many pixels are on your screen, the app version, device orientation, which way you're holding it, I guess that kind of makes sense, your headphone status, your rotation data, your network connection type, what city you're in, the available internal storage, your device's language, your operating system build number, accelerometer data, network carrier, available device memory, your last name, your postal code, your email address, your gender, your system volume, time zones, app name, your country, your state, your screen resolution, cookies, device model, your birthday, and your Android advertising ID. Do you still want to use the app? I don't. I think I deleted all Facebook apps, save for WhatsApp, because you can't delete WhatsApp. Like 5 years ago? Been quite happy. On iPhone, let me find it. Where is it? Oh, wrong one. Did I? It's somewhere here. Which one is it? That one? So Threads wants to know from iPhones health and fitness data, purchases, financial information, location, contact info, your contacts, user content, search history, browsing data, identifiers, usage data, sensitive info, diagnostics, and just other data. Like, they checked every box at this point. For context, if you were to use Mastodon, it doesn't collect any data. That's actually crazy. You know, the best thing, Facebook is pre-installed on certain phones and basically runs all the time unless you force disable it. You can't even uninstall it. Yes, and now you start to understand why Facebook is such an insidious corporation that you shouldn't have let access to your data willingly. Because they paid for that option. And they'll gladly do it again. Hello, Outed, how you doing? Those things? And Yosa said, by the way, I'm still building my own lag tool. Turns out changing the code didn't help. I was expecting the delay values in the code caused the problems I had, but that wasn't the case, sadly. Currently, I'm expanding my hardware and built a slightly different tool based on Blurbuster forums, but it looks legit. Nice. For those who don't know, on the social networking, social media side, I mentioned Mastodon. If you don't know what Mastodon is, it is a platform that is part of, and I kind of hate the name, Fediverse, Federated Space, kind of like Star Trek Federation. Basically, Mastodon is the sort of underlying technology that anyone can set up a Mastodon server, and then they can all federate, they can all talk to each other in the same way that you can have your own email server and you can email anyone else you want, you know, anyone else's email. The nice thing about that is that it's there is no one central place like with Twitter and Reddit where the CEOs have decided to ruin the platforms. There is no CEO of the Mastodon network that can ruin the entire thing all in one go, right? If one of the server admins for the instance you happen to be on turns out to be Musk or what's his name, Huffman, you can just leave that instance and go to a different instance. But yeah, it's really quite nice. It's essentially distributed. The only downside is, in fact, actually, Watt mentions that Mastodon's issue is the perceived complexity / barrier to entry. So because there is no one single place to sign up, you can sign up to any Mastodon instance you like. So if you just search Mastodon and sign up to mastodon.social, the sort of main one, that's fine, and you can interact with anyone else in the federated Mastodon world. But I created a TechteamGB profile on Fostodon, free and open source Mastodon, where that server is sort of meant to be all about people making free and open source stuff like this. And so, I went to their website and signed up. There can often be a little bit of a delay between signing up and getting in because you often have to be approved to be to sign up. So there is an extra step to it, essentially. But it is a much more free and open space. There's also no ads because it's all, you know, individual instances, so you don't need a big company to make lots of profits. So yeah, it would be nice if Mastodon was, you know, the sort of replacement solution for Twitter, basically. But especially with Facebook pouring as much money into threads as I'm sure they are, yeah. I use Twitter for an instant view of what's going on in the world and with people. I'm not sure how good Mastodon can be with that. Well, interestingly, Mastodon was actually pretty good with the whole Russian civil war mutiny thing. There was quite a lot of live data, as it were, from that for the 2 hours or whatever that happened on. I think the main thing is finding the right people and the right sources. In the same way that with Twitter, you follow people. It's sort of micro blogging rather than somewhere like Reddit where there is a community hub that you can go to just see what anyone is posting. So yeah, it's a bit different. Hello, Bob. How you doing, man? How's things? Follow people and all it shows is Musk. Yeah. I read the newspaper. Geez, I'm really showing my age. You are, man. I don't think I've ever bought a newspaper. And I don't know whether that's something I should be proud of or not. I think like the idea of sort of decentralizing that sort of information flow, as it were, is in principle I think is a good thing, because you know with a newspaper, whatever implicit or explicit biases the owners and the editors and the writers have will reflect on what you learn about through that paper. And so sure, if you find one that you agree with, whatever, that might be good, but then you're in the same sort of echo chamber that you get in, you know, in online spaces. Whereas in theory, having more democratized access to information allows people who were previously unable to have a voice to have a voice, and that's a good thing. Unfortunately, it means that also anyone can have a voice, and turns out that concern trolling and a lot of other things happen when that's the case. So yeah. I like social media in the sense that it, you know, gives people who don't normally get a chance to talk. But at the same time, oh god, it's just so it's a lot. It's hot. Is it hot there? It's not been too bad where I am today, but apparently tomorrow it's going to be quite bad. What's the... Yeah, it's going to be 27, 28 degrees tomorrow, and that's... that is probably underestimating the actual temperature that it's going to be. Yeah. Well, fair play, yeah. That's what I like Reddit for, the memes and the, um, you know, nerdy communities that wouldn't have otherwise, you wouldn't otherwise find. Where is it? Oh, it's not showing up yet. When it does, Ish's comment is just beautiful. Apparently we have a big storm coming on Saturday, big for us in the UK anyway. Did we? I missed that. Oh yeah, some thunder. Thunder and lightning. Lightning. Interesting. Only on Saturday at 6 PM for me. Where was that? Do you have AC plus infinite energy from your solar panels? I do. I have a very naff freestanding AC unit. It does all right. It's it's kept me alive so far. But and I do power that from AC, although from solar rather. Although I do find that I have been, especially on the days where it hasn't been so hot that I felt I needed to use the AC all that much, at least until like later into the evening when the house is really heat soaked in. What I tend to do is just run my PCs, like my main PC, my Overkill NAS, and my QNAP NAS. They're all powered from my UPS, so I just unplug my UPS and plug it into my solar, basically. And then that draws about 600 watts, including my 3 monitors. So I get to basically use all of the solar energy I generate in a day. And then anything else that if I need to run the AC for a little bit, especially in the evening, I just run it off of the wall. It's not that big a deal. It's only about 800 watts. And actually, my energy prices have actually just gone down a little bit, so good. Although actually, if you watch the Hyundai Ioniq 5 review over on At the Wheel, I did actually buy another air conditioning unit for our bedroom that we only really run for a couple hours when it's really hot, just to cool the room back down again. But it's very nice to have that. I enjoy going out in the car with AC. That's all I did last year when I didn't have. Or was it the year before? Maybe it was last year. But I would go out in the car to cool down, and then I'd come back in and be dying, and then go back out in the car again, just to keep cool. Just sitting out, out in the front, just running the engine. Yeah. My car's AC needs servicing. It be leaked. I embrace the heat. Madness. But before we bought the air conditioning unit that we have upstairs now, I was contemplating doing a DIY AC solution with the car's AC system, buying all the parts, like all of the components from, I think, a BMW E92 or E90, a 3 Series, because the parts were ridiculously cheap. But I decided against that option, sadly. Probably a good thing. Joe, your comment on keyboard warriors, you'd be surprised to find out that the majority of the keyboard warriors are like 40 and older, not young people. Sounds like low wife approval. Surprisingly, it was fine. I don't have those sorts of issues, I'm happy to say. Did I miss anything? Oh, but it is powered by AC. Well, that is correct. It is powered by alternating current. But what I meant to say was it's powered by solar. Solar AC, but solar. My limitation for the solar system, the solar power system, is very much how much solar, how much energy I can generate, even at a peak of 1400 watts for a couple hours. While that is a decent amount of energy, it's still like it would be enough to run my PC for the whole day, and mostly into the night as well. The only catch is that to reap much more benefit, like I can't charge the battery in a full day. Basically, the most that I've seen this year is about 7 kilowatt hours I've generated throughout a day, which is about what the battery capacity is, but especially once you factor in a bit of inefficiency and what I'm going to be using at least some of that, if not all of it, in a day. It means that there isn't often all that much left in the battery at the end of the day, which is a little bit of an annoyance for me. But I don't really have enough room to put more panels, which is the main problem. I only have 3 panels, which is a really, really small system compared to what you'd put on your roof, where you'd have 6 or 9 or 12 panels at least. So only having 3 is a little on the small side. So yeah, but I mean it's doing well. The fact that the energy prices have gone down actually means that my return on investment time is going to take longer, but at the same time it also means that for the rest of the energy that I do have to pay for, I'm going to be paying less, so overall that's better. I'm still not paying anywhere near what I was paying just a year or 2 ago, but I'll take what I can get, apparently. EVs, cars are good for the environment, but running AC uses more energy, so it's bad for the environment, so EVs are bad for the planet. Well, yes and no. I'm ordering new windows for my house. I could have bought another house. No windows? AC! Windows are quite expensive, yeah, sadly. There is some other benefits to having windows though, like light, fresh air. Oh, right, some normal tech news. Let's talk. There's a new AMD CPU that you can't buy. It's called the Ryzen 5600X 3D. And it is basically a Ryzen 5800X 3D with 2 cores turned off. It's basically just the reject pile from the 5800X 3D. AMD has basically been saving up the chips, and they apparently have struck a deal with Microsensor in the US to sell those chips. Unfortunately, you can only get them in the US from a Microsensor, and there's only limited supply in the general, in general anyway, so you're probably not getting one, but it exists. My mate's solar system produces 14 kilowatts per hour. He's installed a 50 to 60 kilowatt hour battery, so he can nearly run off grid. Nice! That's great. If I had the space and money and I owned the house, I definitely would do that as well. But I have none of those things. EV production is bad for the planet, lol, but we don't talk about that because clean battery power is good. Well, it on the one hand, you are right. Producing, especially the batteries, is bad for the planet. But on the other hand, producing internal combustion engine cars isn't much better, and the long-term, benefit for the planet, as it were, is that once the EV battery is created, it then gets a reasonable useful life in the car, and then it can be taken out of the car and used as grid scale storage, home energy storage, load of other things for a considerably longer time, and then pretty much all of it can be recycled. Whereas with an internal combustion engine car, it's producing harmful emissions the whole way until it gets scrapped and then melted down and made into a new car. So while yes, it's not ideal, technically us existing on the planet is not ideal for the planet. Nothing we do is in terms of production and the late stage capitalist hellscape we live in, none of that is good for the planet, but it's trying to make the best of a bad situation, because everything will always have a trade-off. Scrap all the cars and everybody gets Sinclair C5s instead. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Microsensor have a really good reputation over there for in-store discounts, which is a really smart move for a bricks and mortar store competing against Amazon/online. I would agree. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's a shame that they only exist in the US, and they're still relatively limited in the US as well. There's only like a handful of stores total, so yeah. Imagine a police chasing Sinclair C5s. That'd be funny. Sinclair C5's got to be better than the scooter things. Yeah. If anyone doesn't know what a Sinclair C5 is, Google it. They're quite cool little things from it's either 70s or 80s, and yes, I'm pretty sure it is the Sinclair. What you call it? The same Sinclair as the computer stuff. We should be on segways though, a la Paul Blart. Oh god, no. Clive Sinclair, yeah, that's the one. Brain took a nosedive on that. When doesn't it? What have I been reviewing this week? Oof, whap, oof. Oh, I didn't even write it down in the schedule. What did I do? I did a monitor. Oh, and I'm doing a headset. Right. I'm the thing that I'm like currently reviewing is the SteelSeries Arctis Nova Pro wireless. And it's a remarkable, like, so first of all, it's a £330 headset. Let me set your expectations. And it's a £330 mostly gaming headset, but it's wireless, which is great. It has replaceable, like easily replaceable batteries, like replaceable while the headset stays on your head, easily replaceable. It comes with two in the box. The little base station thing charges the spare battery while you're using the main one. And possibly more importantly, it has Bluetooth that is a fully separate system that can work at the same time as the 2.4 gigahertz proprietary wireless connection. So you can be listening to stuff, music from your phone, or having a voice call on your phone while playing games and listening to in-game audio and talking to your friends on Discord or something. It's quite cool that it's so seamless between the two, and it has active noise cancellation. So it's pretty clear that what they're thinking of this for is to replace both your on the go travel headphones and your gaming headset at home, and I kind of like it. It's not perfect, it's not quite for me. The ear cups are slightly too small, they rub on my ears, and the band's a little bit too tight, but it's pretty cool. You can also buy replacement ear cups and replacement headband. They use a ski goggle band thing, so you can buy replacement ones of those, so you can actually make the headset last, because you can replace the battery, the ear cups, and the headrest. So those are all the wear items on a headset. So again, it might actually last you more than a year or two at most. Virtue VR glasses review when? No. That's I'm someone who has a VR headset and I very much enjoy it, but the idea of using those, if you don't know, Linus did a video on them. It was either yesterday or the day before, and they look horrible. They're basically just a normal pair of glasses, but with OLEDs and a projector screen type thing. They're fully tethered, so there's no battery or processor in the glasses. It's just you connect a battery, you connect a wire from it to your phone or to whatever, and that's how they work. But apparently they're really bad for motion sickness. Yeah. I also haven't got apparently one of their incessant emails, so still no. Hello, my friend. I have a question. On my PC, my CPU and GPU usage is always below 30%. My GPU watts never go above 40. However, I'm not getting good performance. Please help. So just to clarify, is it a desktop or a laptop? Because that determines a couple things about how you'd go about troubleshooting that. Second of all, if it's a desktop, can I confirm that you've plugged your monitor into the graphics card's ports and not your motherboard's ports? Because, yeah, basically, if you've plugged into your CPU, the integrated graphics on your CPU, your graphics card isn't going to be doing anything, and you're not going to get very good performance. Whereas if you are plugged into your graphics card, then there are some other issues to address there. Other than that, I would say check that you have the latest graphics drivers installed, because that can make a very big difference. And yeah, get back to me on those points, and then we can go from there. 350. What the hell? IMO anything close to $100 is pushing it. Paying through the nose to have that annoying thing in your head when you get a decent a second-hand decent 7.1 certain speakers to that. Also, I mean, it's a come on, brain. It is a different experience. When I do want to play games, I generally want a headset, because you do get better. Sorry, loud bike. You get better sort of positional awareness, generally speaking. It's also less jarring for the people around you, and you can also communicate with your friends or whatever, Discord, TeamSpeak, whatever, a bit easier. You don't have any echoes or reverberations for that. And obviously when you're out and about, you can't carry around your 7.1 speakers. My stepson did that, and his $2,000 PC. His dad bought him 3 years ago. Never saw it until he moved, and I watched him plug it in. Oof, yeah. not going to be great. Yes, it's a desktop PC, 750 watt power supply, 5700G, 4070, RAM is 16 gigs, motherboard is a B550M. DisplayPort is plugged into the GPU, and I'm on all the, I assume you were going to say, latest drivers. So with that said, what do you call it? Brain has gone blank again. Welcome to the Andrew Breaks Down stream. Someone help me out here. What? How do we troubleshoot this? So if you're on the latest drivers, but your performance is still naff, utilization's terrible. Default settings apart from XMB and on monitors C40 Hz, refresh rate set in Windows, try both Windows 10 and 11. Gotcha. Right. Oh, that is a good point. Is temperature? Have you checked temperature? You know, to check that like your CPU and GPU aren't overheating, because if they are, that would be potentially a problem. Simon S63 Tech, he said tried on both Windows 10 and 11, which implies fresh installs to both, or at very least 2 different operating systems, so I would consider that different enough. Although if it was just 10 and then upgraded to 11, maybe not, but that would be my thought there. But you implied it really last a year or two, speakers will last you a decade, and in any case, way too expensive. When did the gamers become this rich? Well, so when I say last a year or two, I mean a lot of wireless heads, like cheaper wireless headsets that don't have replaceable pads and you know, removable batteries. Think about, you know, phones. People want to replace them every couple of years because the battery dies, and they've made it impossible to replace the batteries. And the same thing happens with things like headsets and wireless mice and keyboards and all that sort of stuff. And often the cheaper stuff is, you know, cheap plastic. It's brittle, it falls apart. You sit on it by accident and it smashes. So yeah. Joe says, realistically, what's the perfect setup for VR that would eliminate motion sickness? I've not experienced a headset yet that hasn't made me violently motion sick. Being deaf doesn't help with dodgy ears. I think, like, technically speaking, the best VR would be a fully immersive room where you, as you run, what is sort of projected around you changes. You're on a treadmill or something like that. You know, an omnidirectional treadmill, so that you can run or move in any direction. Because the main thing that people find is that there's a disconnect between what their eyes see is happening with movement and what their body is feeling. So if you're, you know, in-game running, but you're just standing there holding a joystick forward, you're seeing that disconnect of your brain thinks you're moving because it sees you moving, but it knows that you're not moving because it's not moving your muscles. So the perfect option for that is to have the world around you move and you move in it. But yeah, personally, I also don't get sick in VR, as it's not come up yet. WAP said, I don't. I can move around in FPS games fluidly. I don't fall over. So I'm luckily not one of those affected. I generally don't get motion sick at all, which I'm very, happy about. Some good suggestions for XGQD. PCIe socket and lanes is in a full X16 lane up at the top. Also is vertical sync off. might have been there, might have not come up yet, but you know, is VSync on or off? Because if VSync is on, then you're going to be limited to your monitor's refresh rate, although you said that your monitor's refresh rate is 240 Hz, so it still should be pretty decent. WAP, we discussed that one, and the answer was plugged into GPU DisplayPort, 240 Hz monitor into the 4070. Tried new drivers, tried Windows 10 and 11. Yeah. XGQD, if you want to get some further support, our Discord, which is linked in the description, and I'm sure Ish is about to paste a link to it, as he always does, is there to help. These streams are about an hour, and we have about reached that hour, so I am going to be disappearing, but like I said, if you do want some further troubleshootings, help with that, jump in our Discord, head to the tech support channel. Thank you very much, Ish. And come say hi, and we'll try and help you there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching, for kicking it. If you want to come back next week, if you are new here, these are every Thursday night at 8 PM UK time, so feel free to pop back. And yeah, otherwise, I'll see you next week. Have a good week, stay safe, have fun, and I'll yeah, catch you all tomorrow for a video, Monday for a video, and next week for a stream. Bye.